Hello, 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 and welcome back to another YouTube Live with yours truly, Prandhara Prem. I'm so excited to have Jus Jewel on here, kicking off this Sexual Health September month and my birthday month. I'm a Virgo, yes, yes, yes. And
Happy birthday.
yeah, are you a Virgo too? Oh, okay.
No.
And Oshun's day is today. So we'll talk a little bit about Oshun because Oshun is my head, and I'll explain a little bit about what that is. But let me go ahead and introduce the beautiful Jus Jewel. Um, she is the erotic poetress on Instagram. In her early stages of childhood, she discovered that she loved to write. And at school, she was that student who went well over the expected words in any written essay. You know, those students who just really write well, and you're like, show off. No, I'm just joking. And it wasn't until 15 that she found her love affair with words was a deep form of expression. And she also recognized her ability to compose poems. That what compose a poem was much deeper than just writing words on a piece of paper. She noticed the feelings that it would exert. And she would write where invigorating and the energy was intoxicating. And guess what? She's about to share a little poem with us to get us started. And then after that, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about yourself, anything you want to share. And let me just say hi really quick. Hi to those who are coming on. Hello, Benjamin Ford. Benjamin Ford said, "You are gorgeous." And yes, she is. Yes, she is. I don't have anyone but gorgeous people on my show with me. It's inside and out. So welcome, 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 everybody. We're going to be talking about sexual healing through poetry. But the beautiful Jus Jewel from the Erotic Poetress is going to share a little poem with us.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I chose to be a little good. I am going to read for you from my book, Sexually Penned. The title of the poem is Verbal Penetration.
Ooh.
Lingually, he plays with me. I'm hanging on every syllable. Clinging to every letter he lips. The deeper he tongues my mind, the stronger the spell binds. That moment he articulates, still like water as ice, frozen becomes time. Mesmerized by his vocal foreplay, he uses his words as utensils, eating away at my exterior, gnawing my flesh until my core is bare. Once he enunciates, like hypnosis, I'm locked in a stare. Now controlling my thoughts with his speech, I await to see just how deep his linguistics can reach. He's conducting an oral seminar only I signed up for. He provides my minions with orgasmic fuel. He phonetically stimulates my soul. I drown in his verbalization sea. He literally causes waves of cream. As he communicates his expectation, he takes my cerebrum on heights unseen, motivating my thoughts to be unclean. While his verbiage strokes me cerebrally, I climax again and again. My yoni heating from within. As he swings his tongue sword, my body moves with a rhythmic motion. Suddenly, a muffled sound comes from afar. I begin to hear in the distance a round of applause. I hear whispers of congratulations. my trance now broken, bringing to self a realization. This man name remains unknown, yet he gave me a touch without hands. He gave me the best mental sex I ever had. In the midst of this once empty, now crowded room, he has taken me on a sexual elevation. This man gave me the ultimate verbal penetration. So that poem came out of my book, Sexually Penned. You guys can find it on Amazon. I do autographed copies as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. So, you said you talked about mental stimulation or mental orgasm.
Yes.
That was so beautiful because, so many times people just think about having orgasms as just like a physical thing. And I always say for me, what really turns me on is the mental, the conversation,
Yes.
and so many times, especially here in Brazil, you meet guys and what they want to do is send you pictures of themselves, of their bodies, and they are fine. But I'm just like, that's not what does it for me. What really turns me on, what really gets my yoni tingling, what really gets my juices flowing is that mental stimulation. The
Right.
conversations, you stimulating my mind,
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. It's like it all it's all connected, It's like if you can stimulate my mind, especially if you are a woman of your own intelligence, because it's different levels to intelligence. So if you are a woman that is within your own intelligence and a man can supersede that or catch your interest mentally, then all else is probably a go, especially if you fine.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's what, and I would say all the time, sometimes, a lot of times women, we know if we're going to give it to the guy, right? We're like, we know we liking
Yeah.
him, feeling him. But then he'll say some dumb shit, some stupid shit will come out of his mouth. Then it's like, nah, I just dried up.
Yeah. Suddenly you are no longer attractive.
Right. So ladies, if you're listening and you agree with me, tell me yes, tell me no. If you don't agree, tell me no. And the men that's here watching, I want to hear from you too. Like what are your thoughts on the mental stimulation? What are your thoughts on that? So I want to hear you guys. I love to have this interactive. I love to hear from everyone that's watching as well. So I really want to hear from you. Is it true? What are your thoughts on mental stimulation? Right. And so, we're going to be going into how poetry, how eroticism, how that really helps sexual healing, and I do want to say, interesting thing is, you're a writer and you talked about how you noticed writing from a young age could be stimulating, right? And invigorating. And one of the things for me, I've always had a lot of sexual energy, but a lot of times, a lot of it was dormant just because of society, just because of different things, right? But then I started reading a series of books by Mary B. Morrison, and also known as Honey B. Morrison. And it was just erotica. And she was the first one I had heard of, even though Zane is very well known, popular. I still hadn't read any books by Zane. That's interesting. But I did almost all of Honey B. Morrison's books. And it just really did something to me. It really awakened me. It opened me up. And so I'm so excited to have you here and just kind of talking about that path. So, to connecting to that sexual energy through poetry.
Right. So like I said, I've always been a writer, and I wrote poetry, plenty of poetry before, but I came to a point in my life where things were starting to change for me mentally, spiritually, physically. And the more I dug deeper into those parts of me, mind you, I not too long ago got out of a relationship that was supposed to end in marriage and all this other stuff. And so when I broke away from that situation, it was just more like, let me find me. Let me find me. And that's kind of how I found me. I just took a step back, started doing a little research here into this, into that, coming into sort of like a self-conscious mode. And when you come into that mode, it's like you start learning your worth. And it's, I don't want you to touch me. You're not worth touching me. Because once again, the mental stimulation, it increases.
Yeah.
When you start digging into yourself spiritually, it's the mental stimulation that really sparks the sexual stimulation. And I was around some lower class fellas around that time. So me elevating myself, I couldn't give them me anymore. But as you said, I'm a very sexual person. I've always been very, very sexual. So it was really hard to restrain and refrain that part of myself because I don't, mind getting my rocks off. Like that's okay. You can get up and put your clothes on and go on about your business. That's the type of woman I used to be. Yeah. And so as I'm changing, it's just, I started pinning in the sex, not going out having sex, not random sex, not hookup sex, not booty calls, no nothing. And a sexual person has to get that energy out. You can't have that pent up. And that's what sparked the erotic poetress. That's how she was born.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because sexual energy is directly connected to creativity. And a lot of times when I do my workshops, my tantric workshops, people begin to become more creative. I work with writers who had, writer's blocks. And then once, they start doing sessions, they just start writing, all kinds of things. And then vice versa as well. If you're writing, that could stimulate as well, that sexual energy.
Yes.
So I do want to comment. Benjamin Ford said, at Erotic Poetess, can you teach me how to stimulate your mind? And so that's interesting. So the fact that you have to ask that, and I don't know Benjamin, but the fact that you have to ask that shows that you don't really have anything to bring to the table. Like you should not, and you can respond too, but this is something that when people say these things, it's like you shouldn't have to ask a woman, how can I stimulate you? You should be able to come to the table with your A game, like confidence, knowing who you are, being who you are, your true self. And that is what's going to stimulate someone. But if you already got to ask, what do I need to do to stimulate you? Then that shows you need some classes. You need to learn some stuff, right?
Yeah, you got some growing up to do. That is definitely true. I agree with you 100%, but he knows me personally. So he's poking at me right now. So he needs to calm down. Just watch the show. Okay. But you made a great point. If you have to ask me, then you need to do some studying, sir, because I can tell you so much as an individual, as a woman, but mentally, if you have to ask me what stimulates me, then you're not paying attention.
Exactly. And that's why I like that. And that's why I wanted to respond to that. Like I said, I don't know Benjamin. So I don't know, anything. And that's cool. I have people who come on and that I know, and they like to poke me too. But I thought that was really great to touch on because that's a common thing. A lot of times guys will ask, well, what do I need to do to get you to like me? Or what do I need to do? So it's like, and then at the other end, people are like, oh no, I already know everything. I don't need to learn anything. So those two opinions is like, like you really need you need to do some work, you really. And so, and that's where this work with like the sexual healing, the sexual education, the Tantra courses, and those different things come in. Because the more you do that work on yourself, the more that you naturally are able to stimulate someone. The more that you're studying and you're reading, you can stimulate someone. Because when I meet a guy and he can hold a conversation about different things, I'm getting stimulated. But if I meet a guy, all he can do is be like, oh, hi, how you doing? How was your day? And that's it. I'm just like, I'm bored out of my mind.
Exactly. I would like to talk about everything. trendy topics, not so trendy topics. It's just, if you have a broad conversation, shall I say, then we're probably going to have an extended evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So, I want to talk a little bit about today's Oshun's Day, September 8th. So I'm excited to be doing this live on Oshun's Day. And if you don't know who Oshun is the Orisha of the sweet waters. And so Oshun Orishas come from, the Yoruba, the African traditional religions. And here in Brazil, we have Candomblé. In the States, you have Lukumi, you have Ifa. In Cuba, you have Santeria. In Haiti, you have Voodoo or Voodoo. So you have all of these different practices. And a lot of times, even for me growing up, I always heard those things. And in the US, they try to instill so much fear in you. And they're like, oh, that's evil, it's horrible, and da-da-da-da. And so you have so much fear. But coming here and learning about these practices is like, there's nothing evil about these practices. It's all connecting to nature, to beauty. And one of the things that I love about Oshun is that she is the goddess of love, of fertility, of creativity. And so when you're working with her as well, and you see Oshun in yellow, and she has a mirror, and she's very, very powerful, right? So she's one of the goddesses, the Orishas, that really can help you with helping out your relationships, love, intimacy, and different things like that. So connecting with her is just amazing. So I'm wearing my yellow today. So to pay homage to Oshun. And this morning I woke up, I did, my meditation, I did an offering. Just before the show, I did another offering to her. And so it's beautiful, and so, and I feel great, like after connecting to her. So,
yeah, I'm learning. I have this book wrote by Lilith.
Yeah. And so Lilith is also Oshun, right? From the Greek goddess, the Greek. Yeah. So go ahead, sorry.
So yes, I'm learning all about all of this. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited. Yeah, I seen that in the book that it was today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Lilith is another version of Oshun from the Haitian voodoo culture. Erzuli Danto is another aspect of Oshun. So those are different goddesses that you may see, that's of fertility, of sexuality, of sensuality, right? So yeah, so going more into just sexual healing through poetry. So I like what you said, going through this recent breakup, using this poetry, this writing to help you through. And I think that that's so important because a lot of times we're going through things and we're like, oh, what can help me? Like, what can I do? So how did the writing specifically help you? Like, what was that process?
Well, it was almost like an orgasm when I finished every poem. So it was almost like internally, I was still being sexually fulfilled, even without being touched.
Right.
And all the thoughts that were going on in my head, the things that I was just having fantasies about, realizing that I might just be a little too into that, So I just started, just writing it, just composing like little stories that I was just breaking down into poetic form, and just sharing it with people and getting a great feedback from it is just what fueled the persona of just being an erotic poet. Like, I never really thought that's the avenue or the lane I would be in, but it's extremely freeing. It's almost like journaling, but creating a public journal.
Yes. And so you were originally looking at writing a book.
Yes, I was.
Well, and you just showed a book, so you do have a book.
Yes. Oh, actually, I have 3. So this is my 3rd one. But this is my baby, my erotic baby, because I write a lot of poetry, and I post some to social media, and then then I have them in the book. So the book is titled Sexually Penned, but it's another side to it, which is titled One Night Only. So it's a double book. This part of the book is like an affair in poetic form. So this is a short story that I broke down in several poems. And then this is just an erotic collection that I put together. So it's 2 books in one. You can get it on Amazon. Just search Jus Jewel in the book section. And you'll find my other 2 books too, but they're not erotic.
Okay. Y'all got to get that. Benjamin Ford, go ahead and go get that. Benjamin Ford, you're not mad at me, are you? Let us know. Say something. Those of you who are just coming on, say hello. Let us know you're here. If you're enjoying this so far, go ahead and give it a like. Share this if you know anyone that might enjoy talking about sexual healing through poetry. Hey, Phil, he loves the book design. I know, me too.
Thank you.
I want to get it just because of the book design. That looks really good. So you were initially, before your first book, initially wanted to write a book.
Yes, I wanted to write a novel, actually, not just a poetry book, but a novel. Like I had got it going and everything. And my character was going to be kind of like a spin-off of Janet on Poetic Justice. So since it was almost like I was tying me into the story. So it was going to be this full-blown erotic book. And as I'm writing like certain poems that I wanted to put in the book for the character, I just got sucked into the erotic poetry. So that's how I even created this One Night Only. That's how I created this book. This side of the book is I took one poem, and when I shared it with my family, my big brother, he the one was like, that's not just one poem. Like he was so caught up on the ending. He was like, you got to come back. You got to come back. So I ended up turning one erotic poem into a complete book.
Wow.
Just on his inspiration. And I just thought, I'm really good at poems. They flow freely. It's my way of being uniquely me. So why not just scratch the novel and stick with what creatively just flows through me?
Right.
So that's how I got to doing just the poetry books.
Wow. And it's so beautiful. So when you actually allow yourself to go with the flow, that's tapping into that feminine energy, right? And so, because that's what our feminine energy is all about. It's about going with the flow. Yes. It's surrendering. And you did that so beautifully. Like in your mind, it was like, I got to write a novel. But you got out of that and you went with that flow.
Yes.
And that's what Oshun is about too, right? I'm bringing back to Oshun because it's her day, right? She's the goddess of the water, of sweet water, right? And so what does water do? Water flows. Water is fluid. And so that same thing, right? When you're connected to that sexual energy, you're allowing things to flow. You're going through the flow.
Right.
And I want to say, so many times there's many of us who have blockages, right? A lot of time we have blockages because we hold on to blockages in our cellular memory, right? And the cellular memory throughout our body. And sometimes it's not even our blockages. Sometimes it's our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, right? So there's so much stuff in there. And so writing erotically is a way that can help you unblock that,
Yes, definitely. I recommend it. Even if you aren't going to share it, just even pinning down that deep fantasy that you may not be ready to explore. It's a way to heal sexually because a lot of us are afraid of what we really like because of, like you said, those blockages from society, constantly condemning something because it doesn't know, or it has never experienced. And so then you get to thinking in your mind, like BDSM, automatically you think it's bad when you speak about a woman being tied up or restrained or paddled or beaten, and not really knowing the experience or the deeper intimacy
Oh,
that
that's so
that
beautiful.
it has.
Yes. I love that. So let's get into that BDSM a little bit. So I just put up her contact. So you guys can find Jess on Facebook at Loch Ness Goddess and on Instagram at the Erotic Poetress or BFM for her, right? Follow her, connect with her. Hello, Renee and Alexis. Hello, everybody that's coming on. Thank you guys for saying hello. So, now, and I'm glad you brought up the BDSM, and I wanted to, share something because it's interesting how all of these different things are healing tools, right? Okay, so you guys are not going to believe this, right? But I have a lot of masculine energy. Yes, 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 I know. Because so many people think I just have all this feminine energy. And I do, but I also have a lot of masculine energy. And I noticed recently I've been stepping into my masculine energy a lot because I've been doing, I'm putting out on workshops, I'm putting out different things. So I'm doing, and I hadn't really had time to be in my feminine. So one of the things I had an experience recently, a BDSM experience. And, so when going into BDSM, I'm a switch, which means dom and sub. I'm very dominant. I have a very dominant personality as well, just in general. When I walk in, I own the room. Like I'm talking, I'm leading. I'm a natural leader, but I'm also very submissive. But it's rare that that comes out. And so more recently, it's so funny how energy works, right? I had been saying I need to step into that feminine a little bit more. And I want to be I want to be submissive. And again, don't get me wrong, submissive has nothing to do with feminine energy. But I wanted to be submissive in a BDSM setting so that I can let go, surrender, and serve. Okay. So that's just another aspect. But also, I'm working on that feminine energy. So, again, two different things. But for me, that was one of the things I wanted to do. And so I put that out to the energy in the universe. And I met someone who was a Dom, very much a Dom. And this was very healing for me because I was going through some things personally. And then I met this guy and, we had an experience. And I allowed myself to be completely vulnerable. I allowed myself to be vulnerable and I surrendered. I allowed him to spank me, to choke me, all of that. And it was great because I had never, again, I'm very much needing to be in control, right? And I didn't know that I would like that. And it felt good. The next step that I want to do, I want to be tied up. I've never done that, but I do want to be tied up and completely surrender. And so it's interesting how this experience really helped to heal me. It healed me in so many different ways. Now, I don't necessarily have to have this experience again, but it would be great as well if I have it again, right? I'm not gonna lie, like it'd be nice, but like I got what I needed in that moment. And so, that's what that sexual healing is about. It's about being open, it's about surrendering and allowing what needs to come to you, whether it's that in the form of BDSM, writing poetry, journaling, but allowing for things to flow, allowing yourself to step outside of your comfort zone, doing something that you may not never have done before, or you might not have thought about doing.
Well, I'm definitely with the BDSM, and I am a sub. I am very submissive. Now, in my daily life, I can be very, very, very dominant and controlling. I can be very commanding in work life, and so when I am in the presence of masculinity, true masculinity, natural masculinity, I am submissive all the way because I equate submissive with being feminine. I equate those energies the same because when you're submissive, you're allowed to just be.
Yes.
You see, and that's what being feminine is. It's just to be in the moment at that moment. And so I am every bit for the choking me, tying me up, spanking me. I actually had a dom. I was owned. And he owned me for a few years, actually. And being in his presence and having him take complete control of me was the best thing ever. Like, and it wasn't to the point, you know, where it was abusive, but it was very freeing. Like, he would lock me up and leave me locked up and walk off. And it's just those experiences that we shared. He broke limits that I thought I had. He showed me things that I never could ever imagine I'd be into.
Beautiful. And that's beautiful. And I like that you said it wasn't abusive, right? Because someone could hear this and be like, why he locked you up? That is abusive. But this is the thing that you have to understand, right? Those of you who are listening to this and you're new, each couple comes up with their limits. And so you have your hard limits, you have your soft limits.
Right.
And so one of the beautiful things about BDSM, you have to have consent. And the communication is key, right? Look, we go into
and the trust, though. It's the trust is the factor, because you have to trust someone to be able to be in that position and know that everything is going to be okay. If you don't trust them, then you can't give them consent.
Right. And that was the thing, right? Like, with this experience, I completely trusted him. I completely trusted and let go. And the beautiful thing about this is, you know, if you have those blockages, right? Like, you have trust issues, you have, you know, issues with surrendering and letting go. This could be a form of something that could help you with that, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that was the thing. And so that's important. You know, I want you guys to hear that and know that if you're deciding to try something different, have that communication, and it has to be with someone you trust. Yeah. And if you, for example, if you don't want to be locked up in a room, you say that, right? So it's all about setting those boundaries. And that was the thing that, you know, as I look back into this most recent experience, and Phil, I got to share this with you, Phil. We haven't talked. Phil in Brazil, that's my boy. And but I spoke to him earlier. I was thinking I got to share what happened recently. So, you know, Phil says, when she mentioned BDSM, I loved how Renee perked up. You know it. You saw. Love is breaking it down. Erotic Poetry is breaking it down, though. I need to get there still with giving up control. So, Phil, you know, I can step into Dom just for you and come beat you and thank you and sign you up. But give me some time to learn how to do the time, because I don't know how to do that yet. But I do want to experience it in terms of being tied up. You know, I feel like for me, that's my next level of complete surrender and letting go, you know. And so this is important, even though, you know, the topic is about poetry, right? But again, everything is connected, right? Because healing is healing, right? And so this is sexual health month, right? So this is sexual health. So sometimes we have blockages, trauma. So just think about the person. Again, each person is individual, but I have met people who've been abused. And when they get into a BDSM relationship where they're the dom, they're taking back control of their life. They're not allowing someone to just do anything to them. Like, they're taking back, and they're like, this is what I want, you know? And in the early days, when I first got into BDSM, you know, I did have a little bit of low self-esteem. And one of the things that I said to my sub at the time, I actually had a slave as well. I said, you know, I want you to compliment me. And I want you to compliment me like every half an hour, right? That was a lot. But like every half an hour, he was like, poor guy. He was like, you're so beautiful. You're so smart. And it really just started making me feel better, you know? And so that was part of, you know, and the more and more you hear it, whether you believe it or not at first, you start to believe it because you're hearing so much. And that's part of the sexual healing, right? And so that same thing with writing, you know, whether you believe it or not, but writing to yourself. So for example, Prandhara, you're beautiful, you're smart, you deserve love. And just, writing that down, writing down all the things that you want to believe about yourself. And writing is a strong tool for
It
helping to
is.
that's what you want.
It definitely is. Writing is the tool to manifest what you want. You must write it down. Everything. I write down everything. I write so much. I have so many pens and notebooks, and it's just I write down everything. Everything.
Yes. And, I have a lot of journals too. I have a lot of journals.
And I wanted to say, get my book because I have poetry on BDSM. Follow my page. I have poetry talking about surrendering, submission, all of that. Because I'm very expressive in poetry, and I've gotten to the point now where it's so fluid that most of it's not even about me anymore.
And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful place to get to. So let me just say a quick hello again to those coming on. Again, I like this to be interactive. So ask any questions because I know you're here and you're listening and you're watching. And so you may have some questions, comments. I want to hear, we want to hear how has writing helped you? Has writing helped you? If you have any questions about writing, about journaling, now is your chance. We have an expert on here. So ask away. All right. So I didn't run Benjamin off. Writing helps me release until I can't get my release. Wait, what do you mean? Writing helps me release until I can get my release? Oh, okay. I think I got it now. I think I read it wrong. Okay. And so that's also a very important point too. There are so many different releases that we can have, right?
Yes.
Writing may be one of them. And so let's go into Tantra, right? Because I'm a Tantric therapist. And so a lot of times when we look at sexuality or we look at having sex, we think of we're goal oriented and the fact that, okay, we're going to have sex. That means I need to release. And when I say release, have ejaculation or have an orgasm. Orgasm is great. I'm not saying not to have that. But one of the things that's good is to not be goal oriented. So Tantra talks about, okay, let's go into this experience to experience it, to experience it, feel without any expectations attached. Just allow yourself to go with the flow. And whatever's happening is happening. If you ejaculate, you ejaculate. If you orgasm, you orgasm. Now, for men, with Tantra, we really do work on semen retention and helping you to have orgasms as opposed to just ejaculation and then you get tired and you're losing energy. Because with ejaculation, you're losing energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you don't want to just go and have sex and not ejaculate because you have to do something with that energy. Writing is a good release. Doing yoga is a good release. So I work with people teaching them the semen retention, but as well as different ways to sublime that energy so that energy can move up. Because if you're not doing other things, you get blue ball and then it hurts and it sucks. For women, a lot of the times the key is to have orgasm and even getting to the point where you can ejaculate, you can squirt. Because many women are blocked and they're not able to have orgasms. The numbers are high. So many women fake orgasms.
Mm-hmm. Leave them bullets and roses alone, ladies.
The bullets and roses?
Yeah, you're overstimulating yourself.
Well, I don't necessarily feel like you need to leave those alone. That's my take. But I understand what you're saying. Because a lot of people feel that, right? But what I always say is variety, right? So if you're using the bullets, you also have to use your hands. You also have to do many different things because if you're just doing the bullet, the rabbit, then yeah, you're overstimulating. But I've had my rabbit and I have my bullet and I have my Hitachi wand. I've been doing it for 20 years and I still squirt with the tongue. I still squirt with the hands. So, and it's been a long time, like at least 20 years. But that's not the only thing I do. And so sometimes, and to your point, sometimes women are only using those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mechanicals. And so they get to the point where they can't get stimulated in another way. So it's important to, yes, have the variety and not just go to that just for that quick thing. You have to be able to go in and connect to your body and use your hands. And there are a lot of times women have blockages with using their hands.
Oh, me, I have that blockage.
Mm-hmm.
I have that blockage. I'll use them like when I'm bathing or something, but I don't know. I just like the deed, and I think that's my own like problem I have in here. Like I'm a penetration girl, so it's like I need that eventually.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm glad you talked about that, right? Because a lot of times it is a mental block in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you should do my yoni massage course. So right now, and seriously, like right now, I got my lingam massage course coming up September 20th. But in October, my next class is going to be the yoni massage. But the yoni massage is good because that's for men who want to learn how to do it on women, women who want to do it on themselves, or who want to do it on other women, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, in that course, I do clitoral mapping, vaginal mapping, and orgasmic meditation on the clitoris. So you're going to be learning how to release blockages there so that you can touch yourself with your hands and be able to feel pleasure. So that course is good for that, for those women who might have blockages there. And also if you have a partner that have a blockage and you notice that she's not reacting to your hand stimulation, you should take the course because couple reasons. One, maybe you can, learn some new techniques that you haven't learned that's going to make you feel good. But two, you're also going to learn different things that you can do with her, such as the vaginal mapping and the clitoral mapping to help her to be able to release and start to have orgasms and even get to the point where she can squirt. Because every woman should be able to get to that point. Now, I would imagine that writing as well, right, could probably help you release that block. So even you as a writer, maybe even writing about that and seeing what comes up. A lot of times I work with my clients who would just writing freestyle. Maybe you do a little meditation and sit and think about, okay, what's my blockage to touching myself with my hands, and just start writing.
Right. I should do that. I'm gonna think about doing that because it's not just with me. I don't want him to touch me down there with his hands either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's interesting because when before I started working with Tantra, I didn't enjoy hands. And I had a lot of exes who would like finger me and it just didn't feel good. I was just like,
yeah.
Oh, it would actually hurt more than anything else. And so once I started doing Tantra is when that started helping because I was getting tantric massages. And I do give tantric massages. In person when I'm, depending on the city. I go to DC, New York a lot, Philly, Florida, those places that are close. And then here in Brazil, I have a lot of times people come out to Brazil and they get a massage or whatever. But, and that was one of the things that helped me. So a lot of times with my clients now, because everything is virtual, I see clients virtually, I'm doing it like I'm talking them through it and they're doing the massage on themselves and I'm helping them with the breathing and the different things so that they could also do that healing. But one of the things that I noticed post my tantric massage courses and things like that, now that I get fingered, it feels so good. And the guys that was also, doing the tantric massage on me, I had men and women doing tantric massage on me every time. Like I was just squirting. And I was like, is it the healing that I'm doing, which is yes, in the tantra, but is it also the fact that they're doing different hand movements? So they're doing different hand movements, right? And so in my yoni massage course, I'm also teaching other things to do before you just go right to the clit. You don't want to just go right to the clit and just start doing that. You got to warm her up. Of course it's going to hurt. Of course you ain't going to feel no pleasure. So, guys, if you want to do my course, registration is now open. I got the lingam massage September 20th. And then mid-October, I got the yoni massage course coming up. So those are really, really great. I think everybody needs to do that. I think it's good for you too, just to do that, to kind of help you get over that block, or just even one-on-one sessions, just to get through that.
Right.
Because, pleasure is a birthright. And this is the thing, a lot of women need to claim their pleasure and not just allow the man to give them pleasure or their partner to give them pleasure. The pleasure is yours.
Right. It's okay to take charge of it.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, how else is you can't really tell him what he's not doing right if you don't know.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to self-explore, to touch yourself and see, okay, this feels good. That doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see if anybody else wrote anything else. So, yeah, again, guys, if you have any questions, any comments, if you're enjoying so far, go ahead and give us a like. So, we got a little bit more time, and for those of you who came on late, we're going to have the erotic poetess read a poem again. She read it at the very beginning, but we're going to have her read again, and maybe like 4 or 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to give people time to ask questions. If there's anything you want to ask, let us know. So, going back to writing. So do you work with clients at all, or no? Or do you just predominantly write? Like, because you're a writer, you have a book. Do you find that people, if you have clients, or do people just write to you, maybe asking questions about sexual healing through writing at all? Do you get any of that?
Yes, I get that a lot. A lot of people ask me about, what inspired me to write poetry. A lot of women, they want to really know if I've experienced the things that I write about. So they ask me, if the poem is personal, is it, about me? If I did experience it, what was it like? And then they open up. They tell me about the things that they like secretly. Like, they have nobody else to really kind of talk to that's going to not look at them weird or judge them,
Right. And I think you create that safe space, right, for people to be able to share and open up.
Oh,
and
yes.
And that's a beautiful thing, beautiful thing to be able to have someone that you could go to and you could talk to about anything.
Oh, yeah, I'm honored. I'm always honored when I get the DMs and things like that. I'm always honored, because writing the erotic poetry doesn't just help me heal and release. It helps the women or the couples that are reading it.
Yeah.
It may even get you so hot, y'all might roll over and have wild sex in the middle of reading my book together.
Right? Ooh. I'm getting your book. Do you have it in the is it in the Kindle format?
I haven't gotten this one put in a e-format yet.
Oh no. Yeah. Let me know when you do, because I'm in Brazil, so I have to get in a Kindle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm probably by the end of this year, I think, because I've had a few people ask me that, so I need to really get on that.
Yeah. It's just easier too. Like, I have so many books, and so it's like, oh my God, if I have to, carry all of those books, but it's good to have books in paperback as well.
Oh, yes. I am traditional on most things, so I like to touch books.
Yeah, me too. That would be a good book to have, where I could go to the beach and just read it, because I love going to the beach.
Me too. I love going to the beach.
Yes. So Beauty's Beholder said, someone I knew said they did BDSM, but it was not always sexual.
And it's not always sexual. And I wanted to mention that, because you have couples who will be in these type of dynamics 24/7. Not saying that person's always the sub or always the slave, but a lot of the basis of BDSM can tie into real relationships. Like, it's the trust factor. It's the traditional factor, and someone is dominant, someone is obedient, someone's the leader, someone's the follower. it's not always sexual. In
Mhm.
fact, when I had my it was a 24/7 basis. You know, he called, he checked up on my food, like he controlled every part of
Right.
my life pretty much. The food I ate, the regimen I was taking, the exercising I was doing, the creative projects, you know, just making sure I had that space to be really feminine and just
Mm.
expressive, you know, in everything I did. And he made sure to take the burden of everything else off me so I could focus more on just being that water.
Right. Oh, I want that. I have never had that. Yeah,
Yes, it is amazing.
that's the next level. Wow. Yeah, and I'm glad Beauty's Beholder brought that up because a lot of people do think, oh, if I'm doing BDSM, it has to lead to sex or penetrative sex, or it's
Mhm.
always sexual, you know? And yeah, it's an experience. It's not always, one thing is not necessarily tied to the other, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you have to remember it's several different levels of BDSM.
Hmm.
So many different tiers you can enter into when you enter in the lifestyle. And you know, not all of it has some of it has nothing to do with sex. You have couples who will never have sex with each other.
Right. Right.
So,
So interesting. And so I love that Stephanie wrote, I love paperback books, touching books and smelling it is a turn on for me. And that's so beautiful because there's so many different ways we could get turned on, you know?
yes, I love touching books too. It's something about turning the pages that just, I don't know, it's the connection with the book.
Hmm. Yeah. And I could see how that's a turn on. Oh my God. All right. So, guys, if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead and type it in. We're going to go ahead and have the erotic poetess read her poem again for us. And, we'll take that minute to answer any questions after she reads. So, if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead and type that in now. And then she could read her poem.
Okay. That just tuned in. The title of the poem is Verbal Penetration. Lingually, he plays with me. I'm hanging on every syllable, clinging to every letter he lips. The deeper he tongues my mind, the stronger the spell binds. That moment he articulates, still like water as ice, frozen becomes time. Mesmerized by his vocal foreplay, he uses words as his utensils, eating away at my exterior, gnawing my flesh until my core is bare. Once he enunciates, like hypnosis, I'm locked in a stare. Now controlling my thoughts with his speech, I await to see just how deep his linguistics can reach. He's conducting an oral seminar only I signed up for. He provides my minions with orgasmic fuel. He phonetically stimulates my soul. I drown in his verbalization sea. He literally causes waves of cream. As he communicates his expectation, he takes my cerebrum on heights unseen, motivating my thoughts to be unclean. While his verbiage strokes me cerebrally, I climax again and again, my yoni heating from within. As he swings his tongue sword, my body moves with a rhythmic motion. Suddenly, a muffled sound comes from afar. I began to hear in the distance a round of applause. I hear whispers of congratulations. My trance is now broken, bringing to self a realization. This man name remains unknown, yet he gave me a touch without hands. He gave me the best mental sex I ever had. In the midst of this once empty, now crowded room, he has taken me on a sexual elevation. This man gave me the ultimate verbal penetration.
Yes.
People say I got hot and I don't even have a vagina. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Thank you. Again, y'all can find the book. It's sexually pinned. You get a dual book, one night only, Jus Jewel. It is on Amazon. I do autographed copies. You can hit me up on any one of my pages, the Erotic Portraits on Instagram. If you'd like an autographed copy, they always come with gifts. Or you can just go on Amazon, lulu.com, barnesandnobles.com, and that's where you'll find me.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes, Phil. I love it too. My vagina was tingling. Phil says, following you. So great. I need to go to work now. Love you guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Phil, love you, Phil. And Stephanie says, yes, that physical connection is everything. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So awesome. This was so great. I loved having you on here. So,
yes, I had a great time.
Yes, let everybody know again how they can reach you. Do you have anything going on? Like, is anything you want to share?
Well, I am getting ready to put out my tumblers. They're going to be kind of like this, only they're going to have my logo on it, Wet Ass Poetry. Ooh. I'm going to have t-shirts going with the Wet Ass Poetry logo on there. Just follow my page at the_erotic_poetry on Instagram. You will find all the information. I'm getting the advertisement and pushing those things out there now. The book as well, like I said, you can find it on Amazon. I am working on the 4th book, which will probably be coming out sometime in 2022. So just follow me. Loch Ness Goddess is my poetry page on Facebook. I also have my own business page that I just started, BFM for Her, Black Focus Manifested. So definitely follow me on all 3 of those pages. Keep in touch. Keep it locked. We going up. We going up.
Yes, please follow her, guys. This is so good. She is great. I love it. I just wish I could get her book. I'm about to order the book. As soon as I find somebody coming to Brazil, I'm be like, can you bring this to Brazil? I don't know if I can wait until you put it on
on the e-thing. I'm gonna get that on there real soon.
Get it on there because Phil is in Brazil too, so I know he wants it, and he, it's gonna be hard to get it here, So
yeah, okay,
yes. So guys, if you're new to my page, please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and support a sister out. Hit the notifications bell so you can know when upcoming lives are coming. I have a great lineup. Next week, I have Poetic Sexuality. I'm coming on. Did I say that name correctly? I might have messed it up. I'm so bad. Let me see. Who's that next one? Okay, well, anyway, so next week we're going to be talking about what defines good sex. Let me see if I can get that. Let me see. Wow, I don't know where I put it. It's on my, I already put it on my page. So look there. Next week we're going to be talking about what defines good sex with Erotic Sexuality. I think something like that is the name. Sorry if you watched it. Sorry, I be messing names up. And then the following week is going to be with Shishada Rose. So we got a good lineup. And then the following week is going to be with Lady Hollywood. Some really great sex sexperts. So you guys stay tuned. Also, I got my lingam massage class if you want to learn how to massage that lingam. The Sanskrit word for penis. And then I got the yoni massage course coming up in October. Yoni is the Sanskrit word for vagina, and it means sacred portal, and lingam means pillar. So look for those, check those out, sign up. Registration is already open. Follow me on IG at Prandhara Prem _Tantra, as well as Sacred Soul Retreat. On Twitter and Facebook as Renee Adolphe. I also have Patreon. You can support me on Patreon. Patreon members get their own tips on Tantra weekly. So you're getting things that no one else is getting in the social media. So follow me on Patreon, Patreon/Prandhara Prem. My website for all of my information is www.prandharaprem.com. And you can find me on Clubhouse at Prandhara Tantra. So this was great. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for all of those who's commented, who's asked questions. Again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and hit that like button. So I'll see you guys next week. And thank you again, Erotic Poetry.
Yes, thank you for having me on here. I had a great time. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you got some fans. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Love you all. Peace.